Yo, therefore, yababiem. To them kind lumba say sikasem. Isikasem ehu hia pa nti na Monday bia e ha a ye isikasem ehu adwuma no. And so your topics from kokra ma. Is America. What you ko actually?
Okay, me deɛ mente wɔ ha.
Okay. All right, yeah. Yo, your topic in here, why we think every rich person is doing fraud. You see? Okay. See, yɛbɛhwɛ na yɛaka ho asɛm na ɛnɛ yɛde ayɛ your host Patrick Murphy ɛne Kwasi Kankam ɛne yɛde topic wei ɛbrɛ wo. Kwasi, mekyia wo.
Yeah, for me, mpatwa me so.
Yo, yɛnkɔ so ɛ. Ɛnɛ wɔ biribi kakra bi ma yɛnsa ne atoa so anaa?
ɛnɛ mo biribi kakra about African history no. ɛnɛ African history no ansa ne because ne yɛnkyɛ atiefoɔ ne ahwɛfoɔ baabi a wohwɛ mfiri biara de bi ɛba yɛdi kan African history. Last week I say nkɔ kan last 2 weeks or last week, actions of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and then also the speech of Mawa Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in the year 1963. And at the end of the day, yɛhwɛ nkurɔfoɔ mmienu bi a so and at the end it's more about white supremacy and then distorted African or black history. Nkurɔfoɔ mmienu, baako a German philosopher, the other one is a British historian. German philosopher between the year 1770 to 1831 or Tennessee, needing the George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Asema okay, say Africa has no history and did not contribute to anything that mankind enjoyed. Africa has no history and did not contribute to anything that mankind enjoyed. And the other person or British, you didn't the Arnold Toynbee, and also in the year 1889 to 1975, and Tanasi. Or say when we classify mankind by color, the only one of the primary races which has not made a single creative contribution of value to any of our 21 civilization is the black race. There's a very the Africa fire the art from crowd. When we listen to what the German guy in Kana or say Africans have not contributed to anything that mankind has enjoyed. And we know that several years ago, we are talking about 5,000, 10,000 years ago, we look at architecture, we look at engineering, we look at the person who was able to make the first prototype of the human brain, how tumor is in the brain. Imhotep, an Egyptian polymath. Saa kwe timi twerɛtwerɛ saa nneɛma yi nyinaa egu krataa mu a etimi ma wo ehu sɛ obi yare a yɛsei, obi esi a yɛsei, obi esi a yɛsei. Even cesarean section crowd was in there. Sterilization of surgical equipment was in there. All those things were in there. And into how or why do you then say that Africans have not contributed to anything mankind has enjoyed? Even the Greeks, Hippocrates and a father of medicine, which is not true, because Hippocrates, who is from Greece, the Greek acknowledges Imhotep as one of their god of medicine in the name of Asclepius. So then the question is, why do you say that they've not contributed to anything to civilization? Irrigation at the Nile River was civilization. The irrigation alongside the River Nile, it was the Black Egyptians. So the genesis of so many complex things that we see today, science, math, and all those things, majority of them originated from Africa. Pythagoras, Africa. But then they will constantly talk about these things, the negativity. Recommend book recommend video so that it will boost your confidence, so that you also not accept the lies that have been sold to us and has become a pseudo truth, which in natural fact, and you know, correct. To you be near Juhudi, so on an and I also bit me but you need that knowledge and history to reshape and then decolonize your mind. Thank you.
That's it. That's it. Microphone. Or be a first watch you. To say the way say I can say no. Because say a grow, and so a BB any effect away so. Any effect away so pa because me na bia it's a fee say we assess nya no. Omo ma anya hwe dia. Na say so fa so de ebi ni okra. It is all shy na ma sɛ da bia na amanfo bi wɔ ka sɛ hwɛ broni deɛ onim nyansa o gye sɛ wɔahu sɛ biribi ayi ka ɔne ɔno a ka anyɛ sei yeah, because yɛnim saa nneɛma no nyinaa ɛna yɛagye atom te sɛ deɛ yɛka no sɛ ɔmo na ɔmo ayɛ nneɛma nyinaa kakra me koraa menim so no sɛ in the olden days no koraa no nneɛma bebree wɔ nom a inventions bebree wɔ nom a ɛbaeɛ a saa time no sɛ bia institution bi na ɔmo yɛ a the head of the institution no ɛne ɛfa no sɛ ɔna inventeyɛ nso na ɔmo hyɛ n'ase a ɔmo ankasa ɛyɛ nneɛma no na bebree wɔ hɔ nom a ɔmo yɛ tuntum na ɛnyɛ no nko koraa tuntumfoɔ ayɛ nneɛma bebree blacks ayɛ nneɛma bebree a yɛmu bebree koraa yɛka kyerɛ wo a wongye ndi anaasɛ ɛnyɛ wo sɛ ɛno koraa na ɔmo yɛyɛ African Americans especially ɔmo ayɛ so many ɔmo invent so many things maybe na meka kyerɛ wo sɛ deɛ de invent yɛ break dance nkwa na yɛ invent
yeah, only that we are free guy back or a Kendall a publish here. It talks about some of the major inventions by black men. Me pick dinner next week is here.
Yeah.
Even car spark plug, it was invented by an African, but one patented, so they found a way to own it.
Yep, very true.
Yeah,
and anyone be broke crana dear but could be about this. I think to go lease and copy Otimia internet Africa you free near the you know they've constantly using their power, money and power to suppress us. And yet true cry. I can't say maybe no big I say and can yet your friend is saying and yes, Babu Chana could say Bruni so edge me. When you say Bruni so edge me, I'm saying, when you say Bruni, the way different cry, just say there's no way or no Bruni, just say, who no say, which you move be up to now. You a bro for to say the Omu Yame. Watch I did cry it me can so class right now. Your friend is saying, Bruni at sign coffee because we're
yeah.
Because a sign money now, this is because a grow and so any effect, first no, which I believe say even some villages in Ghana still or more yes, I don't know. Because Bruni, no beard in a chinkre in a chiki, I think say now in a cities no more yet, but I think the villages no. Those things are still going on. Or I didn't hear official who yami cry and which is who be that. Hey, it's yes, see a bit church yasifo moba na almost what is especially in Korana or Mabuchin. So I'm Korana or Mabuchino. Almost at this woman who never be say, one person better be moon.
Yes,
one person better be moon who never be saying a yoma ye pay. Once a hand yom with the beam, one person call. Person free akra, eti by yankasa yinsua but said the canon history na akra saying yinsua till your friends say you cool school na no yinsua history bia anko di bia no he ya no you start free your friends in slavery when history start free when start free meanwhile too no na nyama bebre ho no man ka wasi hu it is why person oji hu di as African person oji hu di between aboa ama why successful bibia mu a enye sika nko a bibia mu a wo so hu ba bia wo free ba because hu ba bia wo free ba na hu nyama a wo nananom aya enye se bi kra invention kra na de wi anom si tie de wi anom si ye omo nyama a wo beti nyama bibia so beti de nti kra ye nyama sa be boa wo ama se wo ne ye deal a ema obu mfufu bibiri nyama bi wo ba wo akwam ni ade a na with wadrin na be say America crank any say sa ne mani na so what ya see ya obejai sa ne mani na yo yeah and then your friend is saying your topic and why we think every rich person is doing fraud. You see when it comes to especially a general concept bi about how amanfo feel about sikafo. Wohwɛ bebree, especially if I say maybe I'm in a way the capitalist society. It's wealth is not shared equally. Yes, any unim dear any senior unti ase or capitalism musitie ne betim because obia wo the ability so betimi akwa make more money. It is a society bi sa mu kra na ho no kra no ya na inequality very very the margin was soro ema amanfo bibiri ehu ne say ase sikafo anaso mo mudi financially no either say omo edi enuru meka to say bia drug anase omo ye fraud anase omo ye omo trimu eden omo nyeska omo muaw ensem bibiri ya yeka for omo na omo ye sisifo ne saa niema ni nyina wo ba ye part no kra de a no kra de wiasefo nyina kra de ye de obi kra say nyeska kra no nya no kra na omo de de ne de fraud. I quite remember saying che bia na me ne ye bi ba ko ni di nkomo about how Ghana for at least amomo Ghana omo bo omo de niska because papa wa ko bi enim ni di me pese me bodi a wo sika pa o Ghana che se utim se niema to yi ma no ni panis na why yes a niema ni bi da so mention names omo nyeska o Ghana wati umudin bu umudin sisi a wo hwe ikrum obi be catch or say nipa no waye nroda ana say connection bi na sika your friend say yi bi and wo koyeye whilst to say make that concept in general yeah the end man is different and then no kwa kra ma even the west no kra no sometimes you be nyeska sana omo hwehwe ni nsem so ha unyeska omo hwehwe nsem sa
yeah
eti bibia abeya ade da ho enti the good the reason why it's so important and it's so good for us to talk about this ne say ama ebi mu kra fi say unyeska bibiri kra nye we community no unyeska hu hia say obi nyeska bibiri because obia ye sikani bia a bad person. Yes, it is sana ye dream dia na say technically no say we Christian na say we religious kra hu hia say obi nyeska because we a bad person. Because they say hu hia say obi nyeska because sikani bia a bad person. And ebi so de omo a omo mbo omo ho modern no e de no aye excuse say ase sika nye ene niema bebre be kan fa ho sika ye say we say so many things e fa ho. It is so important say we talk about this topic na manfo enya ntiase say enye sa na tie misconception manfo wo about sa niema nyina na hwema wiase nyina nipa bebre sa na dream face ka ho ba ye krum nkasa kra de sa dream fefe kra bi kra de sa de nye ne fraud no kra na ye sa de duru sembata ho o koji sika duru we oku obi hwe won so nya sika na ne maame wuye a whole lot of stories e be ka fa ho enti in conclusion me pekese minya di medi ne ye na minya kakra ma me ma eye ba hwe anya sa na wo se we ase ni sa na wo se etena bi ne kan wo se the stock house of wealth is abundance. The stock of wealth is so abundance to extent say we have to say 8 billion or 9 billion ubi abetime 10 billion each am say scan kra no the stock house no e bia sa aka wo nti the osi etiase ne say sa misconception and say sa notion ayenya about money no de bia ye sa de no ema ebi mu de aye alaba nti no onye ho modern because onye ska obey bad person na ono so person go heaven unsa it you person go heaven now a bad person and you be catch all the eye your friends say the needle eye and the thread you know as exams nina eti ene ye be hwe na ya pempem ni ate ase se saa adwen na ye nya no e be yank enyi free etrim because say opese uhia bibi e wo wiase ana say in life no se ne ya adwen esitie no say uhia bibi That's all fight against certain that thing will never come to you. It will never come to you. So you fighting against say, and escafo is also pursue Niska. It's in Adana pursue Niska be a combatants about escafo. Then you start to share. Now we become sunny at what.
Oh, me cry. Yeah, now me Madam Fumina. Although he's a very hardworking a nurse by profession, but I'm telling you, or now on the pizza brand, on the normal club, be our be or on your dentist, but our be dental clinic. And last 7 didn't come on was like, and yeah, so Ghana kwa na onye ska na onye aba kubia shada abodam. No amaya because what could you see through? I said Ghana kwana onye ska na wo fasi bia shada abodam.
I said abodam obi ofi on ma shada aye bibi dey say.
I said abodam.
Hey, that's the akwa no. Hey, who's the new abodam na? Ni sika basaro. Hey.
Easy.
Yo.
Wow. All right.
So the kind of topic here, why we think every rich person doing fraud. Imperative, we learn this.
Yes. Fantastic. And then many a topic, also senior can we've been, and that is why we always bring the history. So suspicion is our default setting. Yeah, share before Obinya Sika, the first thing that we would want to think about is, oh, Aquari, we're from, oh, we're from the money 10 years, so usually we assume that the person is doing something shady, like Ebia or Yendu money, Ebia Okura politics, Mtina Wenyeska, a common one, cry a Sakawa, and that one is prevalent among young ones. But if your young ones, be bro, genuinely they are working so hard. They are testimony be free, Mr. Bindako. And then the driving force is some sort of knowledge that they have that is causing the difference. So in the can we've been educated against ourselves. Why is it that Mark Zuckerberg will become a millionaire or a billionaire in the age 30 or 30 plus, mid 30s? No, a billionaire. But and only when you say you're okay, it's fine. We don't suspect him, we don't do anything. But then the same age, how he be near Ghana, yeah, because he be our frame, and I say he be or he be bonny be. So that thing has become like it has become a cancerous cell. It's spreading very quick. Into one crowd, no more hokrana, Nasabako, Enyesika, one here, a one I me fro. It me first, Kwesi. Nancy, how to quina. Why then when yes, but they are not looking at the hard work that a person did. Maybe or two quino, and I say, free if you know call baby for he's worked so hard, he's putting the effort to make money. Then you are looking at the negative side. And it is all you'll be nice when Jine pana only resilience. I want to share I'll be made because nobody believes what you've made. Yeah, a sikafo be ba say biana oton nsuo okwan ho no ru chance no easy. And you na be a no credit like 100%. But I believe the moral story behind that is they are trying to tell you that they worked so hard. They work so hard and they had lowly moments. So whenever they are talking about these things, let's take it as an inspiration. When you see people, especially young ones, making it in life, when you see your uncle, your family members making it in life, don't just suspect say Abia or baby. So baby, I also bet me but rather we should rather encourage them and humble ourselves to learn from whatever thing that they are doing that is yielding results.
Yep. Because I quite remember say very few times I'm at sad, Charlie, this is here no yes go we dear Sakawa, and Sakawa. I don't know Sakawa dear Wakwakoji Sikadru, right? Sakawa, and I say you credit card.
Yeah, it's a credit card, be your client or your client. Now more yes,
It's matter so many things about that. So sometimes there may be some who said now can then obi wo ebia America wohwe ne years a wadi nya sika mekai say same time na me adamfo bi ka so say ha de yetimi check ye hu say ade ne free ha no mo hwase na start ye de anything but system no you don't check so that sa ne man na
Right.
it that is how your system ye nkoka ba bi nka say check obi wealth a wanya ya ye de paper to ho aha taxes ni ade kra na ma manfo hu sa ne ma no yes sometimes it be a suspicion but any na na tisa
Right.
any nyina na tisa but what do we do ye generalize no na especially bibi kra say si wo fie ho ene was he
Unyes kana o pass bi a share
as bi a share abodam kra eti ade a wose ehwe ho asem ka yi you cannot always fighting against something you want who here pa one of the things especially motivators motivate a man for no come simple you can that's how our brain is esa na opamoni free you see what you focus on enlarges nti if upiska na de bia se uhu bi o oh dan we dey draw oh jan we dey draw sa na wadwen so kachiro nti ekura na ese ma wo nyere wo ho enye adwuma because se wonye sa adru na wo yi ni bia na se wonye sa fraud na wo yi ni bia na se wonye we na wonim se okura wonye scan no that point no nti it's about hard time I also yi who free sa na ma no you start thinking your friends say positively. The next thing very yipaye is a hard work is underrated. Shortcuts are overrated. Many don't believe in the power of discipline, consistency, or smart planning. You see, you see almost a success leave trace, right?
Yes.
See, sometimes anything there be make kasi be crazy for because what it is sometimes you say it's so easy or so simple say I don't know will be ntimi nya bi what is your mention it be more assign because if you say we are 1 2 3 ubinya 1 plus 2 3 so what you say it I don't know when so be 1 plus 2 3 now they won't mean 1 plus 2 3 maybe but at the same time they also say obi apeso you obi any who follow the process no by yedie a process a process. You see how many times what to say? Oh, hey, share we yes see no nyeska. Few times. And the bibi we or winning lottery or yeah no winning lottery and a nyeska. There's a saying we say so we share the way you see it's easy for lightning to strike you than winning a lottery. Yeah. How many times what is a lightning strike you be? How many times I will yes, what to say? It's lightning shares you be so. And that happen. And so see a easier chance say lightning best strike you done. So be when lottery. In other words, no, you have to go through a process when you want to be successful financially. A process. But now you per se you're winning without going through the process now. It doesn't work that way. One, we have that discipline. You need that discipline. Because say sika ba onsem all the time. Not say scanning nana. Enya dia betime di that. You hear this over and over and over again about people making 300,000, 500,000. How munyeska. Metime mention names Tyson, Mike Tyson. It would be any will make you over 500 million. But at the end, no, then it's a nasa. You will be so I know make it 50,000 a year. Throughout in the life in Yano, be crying through the life near be a for 30, 40 years now. Ebi ansi kan no nya ekra ni nyina akra enu ene plus taxes bibi aka okra no endru bia 5 million. It's not nipa no etimi yetete bibi afiri mi ade a utimi still no utimi save bia consistently nya that discipline na benya bitimi benya mo. It's one, you need that discipline, which in intimi enya that discipline. And a shortcut. You see, especially this generation, this Gen Zs. Yeah, that is so funny. You see, you go online, you go, your friends say, social media. When we away, and I'm a die, sir, and I'm a beach be, yeah, and I'm a ye. And I'm a way, oh, no, or Tommy be oh, because yeah, we yes, sir, and I'm a beach, sir. Then I started doing again, and I'm a ye, sir, no more count. Sir, no more count. You know, these Gen Zs, per se, quick, nah, no, my ye. The names are Omanyeska. Mamifa Warren Buffett, any example. Warren Buffett is one of the best, and that's one of the people who are the greatest investors our year timing. But this guy has been investing for 8 decades now. Yeah. He's about 96 or so now.
Yeah.
About 8 decades. So started investing when he was 12 years. Look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett or average in investment or average 22 in a lifetime in now. The S&P 500 and now the stock market no you make it the S&P 500 those no has been averaging about 10%. That Warren Buffett is where he's super 22. But there was this statistician Jim something, Jim Crow, he was my guy. That guy was averaging about 57 or 56%.
Wow.
But look at this. By the worth never came close to Warren Buffett. Why? Because that guy started investing around 30.
Mm-hmm.
Around 30 years, not started to invest. But because Warren Buffett started at the age of 12, look at after the 50, 60, and a guy knows no, this is 65 and also retire. But this guy is still working. In this period, he's saying the worth is about 165 billion or so.
Yep.
Yeah. But guess what? Was starting investing at the age of 12 or hitting the millions. The friends and the billions, no, or hitting that and say 50 years up and son was starting to do those things. It tells you, say, such shortcut is overrated. I'm talking of people they are following the principle, success principle. Who follow, Obi Abisa say, oh no, say they obey, but it was a matter of when. What you say? Because we need to obey, because we need to follow the principle. So these are principles are there. They are success principle. I will be follow gradually. Men rush it. Many a times, yeah, pentem do. You to make gidi near call. For the stock exchange craft, for example, so we invest in 100,000. So we invest it. Now every month, I will start to invest it. $100, $100, right? We started to invest $100. The first 12 months, which is 1 year, is I invested 1,002.
Yeah.
We had 10% also crazy. It was the first year, second year, third year. We said, I didn't say money because I investments crazy costing. But we said, all of a sudden, we drew bare 10 years. Constantly, we yes had and when you this almost as if I didn't pijam all these are principles, all these are discipline, because how many people in me invest constantly, consistently for some period of time. We have to go by the principle. Now, the good thing about those things is that when you start doing all these principle things, you start following all these rules. It do maybe I feel better said you win a car, said as a work with this schedule. Because the man started especially stock exchange. And I say, even if you are your fans say, yeah, I'm on year, we live on so many on credit, you say if you start dropping all these credit, you start paying off all your credit, you start paying off all your debt, then you don't have a car loan anymore. You don't have student loan anymore. You don't have any personal loan anymore. Your credit card, you don't have anymore. Look at what happens. All of a sudden, Every month you bring about 6,000 home. Next can Caribbean soon. All of a sudden, that 6,000 you pay your house, and I say your rent, mortgage or rent, your groceries. It's all of a sudden you are starting up 3,000 every month. Now we save 3,000 every month. 12 months, you say 36,000, right? Another 12 months, be become 70 something. Even not investing that money, right away, you are about 2 years, you are 80,000. You never did this, and you probably be able to come here for so many years. A year for 40 years, or retirement money 80,000. And all these are principles you have to follow, and you do not have to rush. And I'm Bitcoin,
Crypto.
I believe that crypto has come to stay with us. It's not going anywhere. But at the moment, any track record, PIA good. It's still speculation. Somebody can just get up and say, "Ne, crypto ever drop it, and power was drop it." But I mean, say I stay, and so I know say it's not going anywhere. But I will see. I was so we invest. I was so a good track record. I be for 80 years, 50 years. Am I a constant? Sanya mano, and I was so team here. Mommy and Rashi Bibri. Rashi, the time I told me how make can say, I get so many calls. Oh, be free. Oh, Nana, no 20,000 be 20,000. No, I didn't meet me within be a bear 40,000. The next be a bear 6 months. Wow. Diga visa kawa 40 osa. And yet sanity. Na manfo fi say even crown when it comes to investing in sanity na esikafoɔ special bibia omo invest to sa normal one na bi they said they can especially esikafoɔ investing in these stock market in here very boring. Manfo fi say boring they do dollar cost averaging index fund and one motor. They said you'll be out on the maybe special one be but imagine said why you drew a point be or 5 million or name on 10%, 50,000.
Yeah.
500,000, right?
Yeah.
But 50,000, be saying about 5,000.
5,000.
What is the channel? The more we corner, now fee no sign money in the movie. Please, Mommy and Rashid be free. Go back. The crochet to say, if I say, Kwame. Yes, sir. Started building and some do see auto cars now, auto now, won't tell you how to be see. You see, success is money you didn't use. Sorry, wealth. And I say, rich. Why are rich? No? Wealth is the money you did not use. And also TLC because you use money now. You hear people are almost splashing money, no, almost front money, no. And no yes success, no net the wealth, no, but the ones they didn't use, no, and they wealth, no, and also a graduate, and be draw. Go back. These big names, look at all these big names now. Amazon, Bezos, Stati 85,
Yep.
95, Oba, sa, Fedu Baby na Fini. And yet one day now, yes, once a while, one day we want the BBP, but that is not a plan. And you said your plan. Now you have to be very smart in planning. You cannot just go just like that. You need a blueprint. See, maybe Amika say when it comes to finance, you blueprint a budget. We need that. Fabibi to paper so. Said Dana, the person me drew her, send me for so me drew her. Won't mean sorry, so woka. You see, maybe a trim, Jesus Christ, crack. I see why no kusi down one plan to say, Ufiti no kakusi. I'm for crabes. What did I mention? You need that plan. Hard work. And this uncle for Nechi, no to beach be. And look, sometimes a fake beach, who's that? Background, no. When I beach, who's the amateur? What to beach, you know? Why you say, oh, the Scadabas, who's with the Mikano Kwakuibi? Be fail. Men caticones. You see, who started so caticones, but started so dinner man so be do no. Yes, I started so caticones. What was the corners near Catamount? Because we follow the rules now, baby no. Now you man do so amount. The can take you 4-5 years no. We they start to say can be me go back, you know, after 4 or 5 years, no, anyone here can see. So don't cut corners. Now believe we say the discipline. And one thing about it, you have to follow the rules. Now make smart decisions, smart planning for BB2 people.
Right.
What will be an next one?
I think some part no kind about discipline, consistency, you know, any smart planning, you know. My dream be see that no share about I think Bill Gates and then Warren Buffett. Now Bill Gates papa busa like ne busa question be what is common among them? They said focus. I think focus encompasses discipline, consistency, and a smart planning. And yeah, there marriages. So we got to be very focused if we really want to create wealth and stop cutting corners anyhow.
Yeah. Before so crowd, my share investment calculative one. My for say sometimes no, and yet diggy no baby.
Yeah.
Me person me share you no me share we were your investment calculator be right. Say okay, investment calculator. Right? Means see, we are trying to invest. You started from 25 years. Now, the first year, 26 years, right? You started with 0. You started see the first of the 500 a month to home. Now, you be 10%, 10%. You see, if you do first year, you contribute to 6,000. You grow for now, see 282 in total. In 6,282. That's the first year.
Yep.
Look at some of this 6,000 at all. I mean, 288. Why fear? Because is it even worth it, right? You call all the way to maybe 5 years into my 30, right? The 30, if you hear the same thing, look at this, right? Still, maybe so sure. Maybe I'm the arrow no contribution. Yeah, the 30,000 so far 6 years no. Yeah, the 30,000 at all. Look at the growth I bought, so 8,000. Still, now that's what doing some way. You can see, say, I say, still now. Yes, I'm trim kakrani shadi, right? But a trim young call be 40 years. That's something you invest 15 years.
Yeah.
It is okay the 15 years now you invest here. Look at it be okay. See they saying at all. The 90,000.
90,000.
But look at the growth now started, which shall say when it comes to those things now, a time, discipline, consistency. So all of a sudden about now no the investment now the 90,000. 117 which we did not put in. But look at the time it take you. 15 years.
Yep.
From there no would science add another 10 years. That time 50 years. So the person we cross a go say and add the opposite they invested that music use. So what the 25 now to me you see now with the 50 years. The new 50 is the new 50 is a 30 now. That's the African best started. Now look at this. When you invested 25 years, look at where with the 150,000 now to 513 you did not put in. It's a time also turbo now invest gradually. And you cannot tell me, say, at the age of 25, I'm investing 500. I'm still 50 years, 25 years now. I never increased it. No, it doesn't happen. And yet then I'll be increasing because if you look at the numbers, the moment I started to see numbers now, and if you are doing that, that means throughout your life in your crown, you didn't even get like increment in the ewa jumem. So
Right.
you that means that's where no you and then I will say we get but look at what is going on. You did not put in this. You did not put in 530 one fashion to the way 150 no it should be a you see, this is just we are another way so a person when you say is that is why it's so imperative for you to start early. So we invest it. So we here and so we need we start investment and start it now. And you will we example. There are so many investors who may invest in other companies, who may invest in other businesses, so many things. But so also we invest on your share now pay nkwana abeji and yet because they say we are seeing one crown, Yama be honuma. If you want the so-called amount for making more money in the crown, they are struggling. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, the next one. So yeah.
All right. Number 3. We don't understand new money. Whether we like it or not, the world is constantly changing.
Mm-hmm.
The world is dynamic. Knowledge is dynamic. Knowledge is progressive. And so here, tech, content creation, your forex trading. Not every new hustle is a fraud. Some are just new. And in the first, no, you now new when it comes to the idea, no, maybe it might have changed. Full Friday, but that is why we always spread that constantly update yourself. I can see EM ready, any excuse. You've got no excuse because so won't mean Canberra for near my and baby I can tree and to beat me a day, beat me at you won't mean you can watch YouTube videos, TikTok, all these platforms. So we need to align with current trends of money. And in Tina say ubu ho yes be our frame. But Uncle Bev, even though me, I don't preach forex trading because I think it's a gamble, but there are some guys who are genuinely studying it and they've made money out of it. Oman scam will be. So such people, you might not see them working or working under the hot sun. At the comfort of their house, no, they'll be making a lot of money. At the comfort of their house, there are people who sit there, create contents on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and they are cashing out of it. We look at the juicy part, but behind closed doors, no, they are putting in a lot of effort. That is what we want to put our attention to. Technology into your young guy, Awaba. When you go to YouTube, what do you do? When you go to Coursera, Udemy, all these platforms are there. There are places where you can actually sell the knowledge that you have. And into your hand and say math now beat me at you are struggling to get people to teach them. What do you do? Create a YouTube channel, start teaching maths over there. People will come and watch. You'll be surprised. Create a YouTube channel, start teaching people how to cook, how to keep babies, how to wrap babies, all these things. By the time you realize now a blow. Until now, previous and now can say hard work is underrated, shortcuts are overrated. We always want to skip the process. But one thing that I've come to understand is that if you respect the process will reward you. The world is constantly changing. The world is constantly changing. Somebody saw the need that Abia and Kubefini can come in person to do this. So they created this platform called StreamYard. Now they are making money out of it. But they have systems that are controlling these platforms. He's cashing out. Look out, your friend is saying cloud storage platforms. You don't see people doing manual labor over there, but they are making huge sums of money. That is technology. They are making money. And if you are not learning something new, you'll be left behind. And that is why we need to understand. Money means you are solving problems, you are providing services, you are creating value that people can exchange their money for your service. And that thing is not always a traditional way of making money. That go to school, go to college. Yeah, go to college if you have the means, get your master's, get it if you have the means, get your PhD, get it if you have the means. But that traditional way of going to school, getting a white collar job, sitting under the air conditioning, that thing is no more. Times have changed. Knowledge is progressive. The world is dynamic and has changed. So we need to what? Embrace that new trend na the air cost. First, na one and him say say bia obi create YouTube channel, bit me any scare from bit monetize it. Now obi try be a YouTuber no him. But later no who and they able to make money out of it. So those things we need to pay attention to, and let's not be in haste to judge people and say that, oh, we are here fraud there, we are here forestry in Crofosika and OJ, when you don't have evidence to prove that that is the case. So constantly learn, evolve, and then align yourself with current trends of making money.
Yep. Because what it is we share stage I was saying now, industrial revolution time was different from CC. I remember say tema tech bania the number for you tech but tech IT na the who you say a human na change. It's not taking jobs away, but rather no the way you see a year human and a change. Same thing I'm for to say AI a change. But I was saying who said the way we do things, because AI no and no point means you say no see one a obi na be din ya mabu one sana be si one aye.
Yes.
It's na e den a best shift it was say so it me shift here. Untimi continuously untimi ntina wo saa nneɛma no, and especially say now can forest trading this animal nyinaa no adeɛ baako ade bia can say you have to understand what you are investing in. It's simple. And if you don't understand it, you see, forest trading, what it is when it comes to those investing in Ukraine, you're passive and active. On the passive side, no, automated machines, AI, you do not have to do a lot. There are some and yes, but if you are doing the active part now, and now you have to know how to read financial statements. You have to know this company because CEO of the company, who traded with that company, single stocks, not that company, CEO, or it's rather you have to understand what you are putting yourself in. True, no we quickly near judge. We say near may change. Things are different. Said crypto is not going anywhere. It has come to stay. I believe that, strongly believe that. But if I tell you how much I have in crypto, I'll be me cry. Basically, crypto may $250. What did you ever yeah, and look how my intention say me kotoy. Na me told the tua bibi. And Oman Jad in the cow and that was so German to one time we go ahead and 5 we are about headed after the about the 250. But I strongly believe say right now they need a track record that me pay into me farm investment between kunkushim. But I'm saying me did agro kakra meeting the agro kakra. What is your mention? And not just say crypto is bad. It's not bad. But I don't think say at this point, or that track record that a bit me aboa me, I'm winning financially. But still you won't say because at the end it will take you over. It will take you over because say you see the crypto online. A bit baby no say na say nti say o Ghana crack first no say nipa sen kwa risk you try there. Oto ade a ne phone so no swipe no oko.
Yeah.
Oto ade a phone so no swipe. Ne you feel say bibi sa akra be dru sa. Even cry abruchini ad na for grant and tough phones on the phones so no swipe. Na say akra no musa for no more. More way more. As Ghana won't start a long time no more yes man. Yes, we have to adapt to the system. We have to make sure because we are see corner. Because sometimes for can be say we are see changing by the next 20 years. No, maybe when they say the next 4 or 5 years, never be changing because they say as the inventions we enough for we it's now one adapt it, no one started say full yeah, you cannot fight your friends say against the new system nearby. You can. You have to adapt a new system. You have to let the absolute, absolute, then you pick a new one. So the son we ask to say echo. It need to be called down and maybe enough first to see any still and one abbey. If a near Juma dinner bay. Nasani so you have to look at your location, maybe our should the near may see coso. Now also what me senior BCI. The fourth one, see, we confuse poverty mindset with wisdom. Being broke doesn't mean you are humble or wise. Wealth isn't always evil. I like this part. Being broke doesn't mean you are humble.
Yep.
Yeah. Your friend say, yeah, Christopher, yeah, quite sorry, yeah, Bob Pie. You see, you say you know she say as a Bob Pie and I say, the way I'm born and Yakuputi, ready, and then Yakuputi. You see, the words you are saying, and you're homo bono, who's the other 4 years out of the par. See, said the week of to say, oh, yeah, and just say, I say, oh, yeah, humble because no. You was hard no she knew too much. Say, I say, I was said, oh, bro, what say? It will hear cry, you be brama, ya timid. Ya timid. You know, you ski a casa cry, it mean casa kese. As a casa nemba, I see through. No. But I had your poverty mindset. Poverty mindset. Your mindset be a you begin in a statistics in cancer. I say, you fan say, Sika ye bibia, unya we evil. Then me kind no. Society dia religious people are ye womu and in kinisi nya obi anya because already is, you know, we are evil. It hadn't no see in yeska. At the same time, you quote Bible musua and akure mu a Yakob was opposite di meboa. It does say evil bibia evil no efrihenfa. Enya no correct. You see, we share sometimes no you quote to crana quote in quoting ye or say the root money is the root of what? Your friend say quote to say.
Money is the root of all evil.
But I'm also say money is evil.
Yeah.
Let me see how I've observed this, how I've seen it. Let me show the reason why maybe part of my version. No. If you do not put your money, and I say if you do not manage your money well, so we are Christian, we are Muslim, we are religious. The timer, what they call or mosque or church, you use that time to go look for money because one foul seek as a man to now you are worshiping that money, no, because what they also no, because of your belief, no, what to me, no, say if at the time I have to be at church, I'm using that time to look for money, then it becomes evil for me. Because my daddy me because of my belief.
Yeah.
Say this is the time I was saying kokosom. That is how I mean huno. It is always canibia. And what to tell you yeah. That time no relax it. I will kokosom nyame call church. It's evil. Rather than them say me if you say can say if you don't have money muma and evil.
Yep.
If you don't have money and evil. Because say if you believe your religion say every Sunday I have to be at church. Now if I'm using that money to area now no me some that I didn't make me time now because me the kokosum minyame no. Next my reverse it minyame make no for the sikana make no. All because my family sika sem to yi. But say me the sika sem to yi and mommy time so me the time out to yi. It in just as na money is evil. Is the root. Is the root. What is the image no? It I will say ye tisani amanase. You may be say because one time be na me no be because I'm say me fi say we Sierra Leone no say bisa na can be about no make this code a year no sika nye den na make na sika nye you see they also say sika de bibia sika de bibia you know if say o didi no e sika baby ote no e sika utua rent and mortgage eduane no sika koto groceries na de ye say koto cra finish ayi na auto na fast food koto e sika na de toye sika na de ye bibia enti nye bibia e be free ho ɛka yɛ ho. You see, in the Bible koraa when you look at I'm talking about the parable of Jesus. Jesus talked more about money than grace and love put together in the parables.
Yes.
In the parables, no, why would you think say he did that? Because one way or the other, no, almost all the parables, no, directly or indirectly, no, it's about money. And why would you think say because when you say here, and I was it is so good say you're making sure say you will be. Now they cry and I say bad cry and say sometimes would you want yes, and so you see and then go see nyasa nyamanina as near stream yididi. You know, it's and yes sanity technically no say you continue see a cast the can say money is saved there, then that means say because you be a heaven I see a con. You know, and you hear see until see the tunche. Yeah, confusing the mindset of the rich and the poor. See, poor people thinking a different.
Yes.
Because what it is when there was a study done about the rich and poor, I think they were doing studies about people that are winning financially. What they realized was in the general population, people that think say they have their life and also they control their own destiny. We had general population now, it was about 40%. But you hear people that are winning financially, people that think say they control their own destiny was about 80+%. It tells you say, the mindset of the poor. Adrian say the year should be inside. It is where they be you're complaining. This, the government. They cry and I make papa with scar and come mommy with scar. You see, they keep on constantly saying that, but when can be being true? I know so because be any panel with scar already. Bill Gates can be. Also, where you were born, it doesn't matter where you were born. It's nothing. Because you can't choose, like you can't choose your siblings. But where you'll be buried, you can choose that. It tells you, say a wutu baby and a one your crana will be timmy every side decided baby I see you. So stop complaining. You see, people that are winning financially, the mindset of the rich, they just get up and go do it. They know they will fail the next time they go and do it again. The mindset of the poor, no atiada. Because when we say ye DS will be inside, the success will be in same. But the rich person, when we say the success no will no one in same. You make sure say we are shifting gradually from that poverty mindset to the rich mindset. Because they will say in say poverty is a state of mind. We are dream already. If you think you can or you cannot, you are true. The old dream, sana abinya.
Fantastic. Hey, I haven't seen that. Envy dressed as morality. Sometimes we hate what we secretly wish for, and we call it righteous anger. I think so. What you can say, you can't hate something and then also get it in return. If you want to be wealthy and you have hatred towards wealthy people, you be far.
MC will be correct. So make the root of money. Yeah, the love of money is the root of the love for money. The love for money.
If you hate something, you can never become that thing. So it's the same thing. If you hate or if you have dislike for people who are wealthy, you can never become wealthy. I say, yeah, religious, no. And I also have problem with opese o your defo bi nso your defo but who na eyo ya say why dey when you say we dey say sika ne dey omo ya on say sika na fa sika mpie sika kodi yo ibi a kan say
It is a we did
kodi
we did have said and then no be cause no can was really who no cry also who do the fear because on nipa mum na security or
yo ibi a kan say we dey sika kodi afuma kodi obi sempa. We have that kind of thing, that kind of morality. And let's be honest, it's envy. Sometimes we think we are just saying it for saying it, but deep down, when you check people, they actually envy those people who are genuinely worthy. So if you have that kind of mindset, if you have that kind of thinking, you'll be far from getting worthy. I believe that Obi say Warren Buffett mono say ohun say young guys na be sign who be billionaires, big guys no. I don't think he was envious. He just continued to do what he was doing. And trust me, top 10 billionaires market ni eye no hom basano. Omu nyina lose a lot of money, but he gained. He gained a lot of money. That is when experience comes in. So if I see Uncle Befi, doing so well in life, I should be happy for him. What you gravitate towards that thing will also gravitate towards you. So if you are positive, if you are clear in your thinking, positivity will come to you. If you are negative all the time, negativity will always come to you. You need to have that clarity of mind. Say, muso unye okoswa yembom na enye den mpenfosi ne ofrudu apa na den e piano no ebetimi akire ni ma bebre ba ko akire ne say see hu see enua ya ade we ana ema na ye the results. Let us not be envious. Let's push him. Let's sponsor him. Let's support him or her. The more we no onsunsunma be den ebepie. If you are intentional about being happy for people when they make it in life, that kind of energy will bring prosperity to you. Because you know something, you'll be eager. You have that desire to ask yourself the why. Okay, what is this person doing? Why are they living a different life from me? Then you start asking yourself these questions. Once you find yourself on that path, that will lead you to prosperity, and then also that will lead you to wealth creation. And into religious na han koma yempa. Also uti asori dem uti inkramo dem so frenya mo sunyame. But unya na no na wedi na ya. But you are secretly praying that you become like him. So you are secretly praying that you become like him or her. But then on also now you take inspiration from it na yeden. So it's something, I think it's something that I don't know if it is inherent in us as Africans, but then and you have for cry to the beer and you have for to the beer or even sometimes between Obu and then sometimes it can happen. But you also
it happens, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it happens because exactly. I say you are embittered. So you are embittered that somebody is doing so well. Uncle Beth, me do a example. One said Uncle Fred or Kasa or Tabot ni daddy or Tabot ni Papa Dean. It is not Uncle Fred's fault that his dad probably set them on a certain pedestal. Because ne papa didn't see on his own corner, so I knew serious and going to baby away, That is the fact.
Yeah, you part of it.
Wow,
yeah.
Also count you go not on you bia. And it tells you that the U factor is paramount. Whether you are coming from a good home or you are coming from a terrible home, the U factor is very, 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 very what? It's very, very, very paramount. Send papa dini sees and so on one and kaka on timi nkonenim.
And I say you know about for Baha, Juma school, no, I'm your fees. Maybe an you factor a key. Me especially panel. I believe strongly in that you factor because I believe say ubi ko Ivy League school krana na say it depend on nipa na success so na say obi so ko school bi anyway krana say mu wie That's the way no trust all your name year. Yeah. And I steady crash say most CEOs in this country, about 78%, among Ivy League schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You factor in there is very important. You do not need to complain too much because ubia situation. I don't just say there are some people are yes, but I don't just say what's envy. Go do yours.
Go for yours.
Yes. Go for
Define
yours.
your moments.
Yeah.
Now, when you see others make it in life, be happy for them. Like, be happy for them. That energy will resonate with the wealth and prosperity that they have. Both eventually, no, you'll be not onishi. But I said, nowhere ni GMA or more no many almost hey Charlie, oh yeah, me role model, oh yeah, me mentor, oh yeah, this one time one guy, you know, can ask him. He used to work for this man, like he worked pro bono for him. Ebu ane car cry no akokra mano. Na team be oni ni din komo no ni din komo. Ohuma ni bia na nani age. Papa ni man is kakra no onye den. Na onje. One day, the man actually decided to test him with a huge sum of money. Or said that man on the office. And I said that bundle of dollars say then eto. No me say be our call befa. Wamfa okọ en bibi edan na hwa na na eden eda. None him break papa no, like even though he knows that he's coming from a poor home, but he was naturally a happy person. And then one day papa no catch and said, oh akumapa, like oh akumapa, you are kind-hearted. And then the man asked him, what business do you want to do? And I said, oh, when you win a my then masha sia me timnya we see kakre uremo ebebo me. Na papa man check on Okoyiska de koshe any business, man. And the guy is doing so well. He didn't even go to university. He JHS not one to me and twaso. He bought a brand new Mercedes Benz C300 Mienu. But the question in tiling and in glass door business way. One making so much. He bought two, one for himself and one for his wife. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's be light-hearted and be happy when people are winning.
Yeah, it's so we now can say quantum science approve that whatever it is, it gravitate to you. Because if you're wishing that for somebody, the same thing, because that's what you're focusing on. That's what you see in your vision, in your BB, and that's exactly what you get. Yes. Now your friends say Fifi can say, Fifi was say, let's be humble to learn from people, not envious of them. It's true because in be no ma say they make hey, and then we are we have to say, share. Be happy for them. Maybe be also. I never come a Nigeria for 17. Nigeria for say, yeah, what say the BC a bless you cry.
Yes.
What the BBA? Obe bless you, ma unya wo cry. It's very good. Say, yeah, if you want to be wealthy, whatever you want to be, you try as much as possible. You have to be positive all the time, and you happy for people that are on the same level or person and it be also it be so. But say if you don't mouse, you cannot fight against what you want. Thinking say no, it doesn't work that way. You have to be happy for them. Say they now can on Buffy with this 90 something. That's one is okay, but when you're friends, okay, is 40 years say they are friends. Yeah, your friends. Almost uncle phone now, your friends. And all those people know that's the mindset of the rich again. They understand those things. Yeah. Next one, we never see we never see the struggle, only the breakthrough. Most people blew after years of silent and suffering, but we judge them only when they shine. Me pese me pe obi pa na ke na anim no. See there sa de no. Ye mu bebre ho no ma ye hu. But me fa ayifo any example. Right? Me fa Michael Jordan you be anipa bebre nim na kakra. Jordan was there was few people around Jordan's team. No more good. This guy, Scottie Pippen, that point guy, Jordan no team.
Yeah.
See, Scottie Pippen Jordan here. You know Jordan, what Jordan was doing? Before they go to training, Jordan will be there 2 hours of training and San Umbeba. Imagine, we almost started training 6 quantum. So, 200 shot. Out of the 100 shot, I'll bet 200 shot. I also make it half. So I make it half for one self punishment or another 200. Because that's an Scottie Pippen at that. So and then no cry in the context of the discusses here. People don't see that. That time now we train a month for whom. Even the friends crying and the teammates crying, who start training now no you know. They must have 2 hours no be any the end into mode. You see, I see many times these people want to talk about with the emphasis circle DNA shatter, wally money sani manina. Say, my bonum no master tea. When number of hours on studio, and you back home, you almost say quack. You don't know do sometimes sani manina no the she baby. I quite remember say, kakra. Those times now they were Kumasi Skafu Bini Ade. Go we purpose we say no you know ton piki. This time I'm friend piki ne ton to feno. Ah no timidia we. So you say any man we no ton we will have kwanchen no start here. There are so many people and yes almost will be because will be our story. Will be our story. Unless it will be obeying heritage something or buy an hono. No cry papa and be our story or we tend to forget about those things. No cry. Yenkai to say now most people cry don't even yenkai because we will 1, 2, 3 the rest was history. Now me start say the rest was history. But say share beneath those success now. There's always struggle be an ekoso. Discipline be an also ya won't mean I also defeated that ten. There are so many things that ubia I go through and son we drew baby on. It is so don't think say nipa no fiti ya no drew because on can be brain no you are won. Hwe odi nipa e bo mu din na. When it even taking 10 years per crown and we hwe o can nipa be 100 one penny be wum sa. Ni be within less than 10 years. Anyone who say obi esini dan kama bia one day we so person si dan bi meanwhile too also waye adwuma for bia 30 years waye adwuma for 20 years 25 years was started so person si dan no ache or to susu go kakra but we yeah 1 2 3 so person si dan bi because to the same car ni bi my facade no enye life esa wonko wanimu da enema yemu be intimi delay gratification because we see the success of people who are we were using to 50 and we are young back and what is beneath the struggles how they went through. There's so many things I will go through because they're silent in internet as say intimate delay gratification. Because me papa at the 20 years is see die no maybe 5 years is see die. It does not work that way. A man dream say will be done a car come and beam and I saw them in necessary start yache. Now struggles I'll go through. It's sometimes it's so good to read about all these people or listen to their stories or listen to their podcasts or their videos. When you go through them, you see the struggles or go through a bad advice or a best strengthen. I'm one who say, "Sa niamana ekosunyan enye ne mu machepa." You know, many of them that could be or can be say. You see, there was a time they were making money all right. It's not they still live in the same. They were renting place to live in. You know, 90% it means I don't. It's be almost squeeze on baby almost na no more share. Sani money na no, and you can be no can. Could be crowd will be any. Be office of tea and status will see apartment they are renting. Office of tea and status will be stores. We've gone through so many struggles, you know, or try so many things, or can so many things about it. It men fun say is so simple say ufiti and no. Why yache? Now when you said nature we go through so many sufferings, strugglings, so many things they have gone through. But most of the time, no, when you yeah, and so akata, and no, and maybe him cry.
Wow. I hadn't said there, even though the world is very dynamic and fast changing, whether we like it or not, just like you said about cryptocurrency, social media is the new world. Whether say it may not be real, but it's the new world. Bibia or social media, but this is what you want to look at. Social media creates fast success illusions. You be more say you know Instagram hey na man for pressure like what call Ibiza on in Paris on and sometimes when we look at those people most of them are even celebrities, by the way. We see the luxury but not the loans, the debt, the stress behind it. Luxurious pictures name bags now no crown make us say laboro we say laboro and I say because more
Some things are almost me rent to be cry.
almost me
And I
rent
don't
TV.
know bags near the
Yeah,
shoes near
almost me rent TV. Now, especially young ones, Anna, high. There are a lot of celebrities. The cars that you see they drive, it's not theirs. One celebrity by here interview no Musa say car we do dinner register. I saw they're not saying she wanted to fit in, and most of the time, people or us who may consider ourselves as maybe average, on a level scale, you will be doing so much better than the one you think is a celebrity. I'm telling you, because most of them, a lot of them are soaked in debt, whether a crewman will say an answer Ghana. Because once they get to a certain status, no, to say that Mr. Being can on what tonight, baby rent kakra, and then they move when they build their own house. There are a lot of people. A new house means a new job means a new phone and new house. Lifestyle inflation comes in. Social media, and not all of them are true. Endra, me can say me say the world is a construct. The world is a construct. Niyama bebree na aka na wodi eche, but when was the time you asked yourself that success is you going to Ibiza and taking pictures? But success can't be said. Me tian si me wa masumdi, me da masumju me ndeka, me ni student loan ka, me ni credit card ka. That can also be your success. Don't let somebody's success be your success because the world is a construct. So, into social media and media, menya ke koso a yenhwe ade a ebe boan ma esua de na ya adwemu ada ho. But don't look at what others are doing on social media, especially when it comes to lifestyle, and define your life with those things. Because send America and Uncle Befi, say celebrities no bu or who so Nike shoe near in the boy and you're not in Sikato. Or the advertisement. Obu a phone on top phone that team you release it phone for fry. Yeah, the brand. You release it at for fry the brand. How do you compare yourself to this person? So when we look at those things, then if you don't take care, you might find yourself doing shady business, especially young ones, because person can be so and of a befi it's sad because Sebi man some can come so low to the extent that ebi a Ghana so kuta iPhone kuta iPhone yes oh yeah also puna ni mo so puno yes muna morani country. Some of them are able to exchange themselves for just an iPhone, a phone that the following year is valueless.
The following year cry.
And I said that year and I lose the value.
Yeah.
I said car unyadi free a dealership what the cost of some cotton Bobby at the bon so social media creates that fast success illusion. Wants to be a preachy, no, but nobody is telling you that the process is going to be very tough. The process is going to be very difficult. And I think it's about time that we state that emphatically, that when it comes to success, You can't be successful and without going through difficult moments. Because if it's easy, everybody will get it.
Mm-hmm.
If it is easy, everybody will get. If it is easy, in can make Olympics a 100-meter race. But because it's not easy, you say about mood training hard, and you know more make it. So don't just look at the final product. Focus on the what? On the process that makes the final product. Now, social media the end is evil. And last on this, into China, if you only say content now, algorithm now back to say US and African countries no. China, they control their social media because they know the impact of social media.
Yeah.
The kind of content that they consume, is heavily controlled because they know that the moment the mind gets exposure to these things, that is their downfall. And we need to be very intentional about it. Don't just see the luxury. Range Rover na also the meka kiki wakoto ebi kra Elise ebi ani the Elise and also obi kra na ne de na ode da na
Elise kra ni tuane.
So what is ni tuane and that is our problem, especially those in the diaspora. Even in our churches is there. Even in our churches is there. You will say couple we akwakoto car we into higher competition. We want to also go get a car, but meanwhile your yearly income is 35,000. What car is 70,000? You know, the one who is driving that Mercedes, and you don't know the stress. Maybe you have 5 jobs, you don't know. So I would rather make use of social media to learn rather than it giving me unnecessary pressure.
That's right. Again, I will say free social media. A good platform as CCA, BBA, Maniama Quantum, Yatiniamantem, Social Media. There are so many things you can learn from social media. But so the wide I say will be full on crop. See, there was a time I would be the same thing. So not say Tennessee was saying move California, be so a warrior on any kunu. Charlie, the beer, no, the way to so no. Now, why do poems? And oh yes, I know I'm up for almost I'm up for vacation. Also, the pictures to no any kunjai. When to me, come also. Omoye no so ye omoye no in sense one day be tell us steady. Chaladi too much na food to buy. Food to buy ni Tennessee or almost na ukro cafe one trees in city o ye ni na yalu. Na we would we here. Would we here. Anyway, you see. But it now say was here they say wuntimi mfa obi die enye wo die.
That's it.
Hwe wo kwan no na wo ko wo die. Ene hia hwe wo baby a wo nam a de beboa wo ne wo family na ye wo die. Eka buburu na sometimes no it's not like sometimes those people no who make iska wo. Who make iska. I'm talking of income wise no they make a lot of money. But mu this can say di ebro so koje credit cards near day. It carded almost so. It don't look at that. They have fancy cars, big houses, dress, yes. They have all the designers and things. They make the money, but they spend all the money. You really ask the right questions instead of how did you make it. You say he must be doing shoot, man. This is the idea. You see, there was a time I can't tell you was one test you say, yeah, Africans and Kwa. You may be the Biani. I say, Charlie, these Indians, these iPhone, they all have ways of live on life. Yeah, quite the Biano, Ubitimi be arguments are quite scanning his papa. Was it about all Africans? Because one test say, Indians will move on your money live. Yeah, quite the Biano. We see can and papa da. Argument on why do we do that? You miss a question, then when you says can quite best not fire who make ye. Rather than you focus on a dear way any and a focus in see when we keep on doing this at young that because saving class any panel see it meaning a partnership for BB Crana, one person in the officer or ye BB Bonnie.
Yeah,
office way BB Bonnie. But rather than be say a dear now, there was a time that the kite by a duff bakuna ne papa so ntua ne fees na ne papa will be obetimi atua. He started first year, second year, second no so ɔkɔ fie aba ɔba na ɔkɔɛ wama ne sister frɛ ɔsɛ madam for no ɛhia gye sɛ mogye sika bɛfa no ɛfisɛ ɔkɔɛ ɔne papa no agya tɔkɔ papa nso ɔntua fees sɛ actually ne ɔkɔ Ivy League school papa nso ɔmsɛ ɔnkɔ school anka ɛwɔ fam nti ɛyɛ gidigidi a na ɛm sɛ papa nso ɔntua ɔsesɛ no ɔyɛ sɛ mu a na ɔnya business bi ɔyɛ afei na akɔa no within a short time na ɔyɛ nneɛma yɛkora na akɔi ne sika ɛfiri ne ade si cousin baako deɛ ɔno deɛ ɔkɔ bisa sɛ no menti asɛm asa akyekye no sika no yɛnyina ne adwene koraa yɛ sɛ there's something going on ɔkyekye no asa ne oh it was something very very simple ɔmotɔ na ɔtɔn nkurɔfoɔ nneɛma na ɛma ɔmo na nkurɔfoɔ nneɛma na ɔtɔn ma ɔmo ɛhoo nneɛma bebree na aba abɛdi ne nsɛm they don't come for all the money at once nti ɔtɔn a na ɔde bi kɔ na ɔmo de bi gum nti na ɔtumi use sika no bi so for other things nti ɛma ne tumi totɔ land ne saa nneɛma no but rather ne yɛte akyi ne yɛdwene sɛ wayɛ dɛn biribi bɔne bi na ɔyɛ ɛso na ɛyɛ sika paa na ɔmɛki wei kɔsɔ no menti ase kyerɛ mu ɔkyerɛ no mekae sɛ na mema talk bi nkyɛ bi a bɛyɛ yie ɔsɛn go mema talk bi ti na meka na panyi baako wɔ hɔ na meka about how they should stay away from debt and all that nti akyi panyi baako wɔ hɔ no ɔsɛ rather no they make any good power but sometimes I also take a risk akra when it comes to data so far as any sika kwa kudi wɔ no maybe a business bi wɔ na bibi sɛ bi pia sometimes na wɔ so yɛ na mso no ɛyɛ na ɛho hia deɛ but sometimes ibi wa yɛ nyini yie because yɛ nyinaa ne sɛ adwene ne sɛ di sika ne kwa kodi ne yɛ di ne ade nti true no a no bo ne di na mhu nipa korɔ but one of the people Ghanaians ɔmo ha no ma ɔmo edi become or company a odi ne ade iti kasa wie nam so megye ne naba na mafrɛ no so yɛ a memfrɛ no mefrɛ nam so na mene didi nkɔmmɔ kakra mka so mepɛ sɛ mefa no kɔ coffee ɔsɛ yɛ memmra na memfa no kɔ coffee ne yɛnkɔdi nkɔmmɔ ne ade you see we don't do that if he sɛ obi a ɔnyɛ sika bia he was glad sɛ kyɛ sɛ biribi a mpɛ sɛ mbisa no bia ɔbɛyɛ ansa these are some of the things we have to do not deɛ na ɔyɛ yɛ a ɛnyɛ deɛ na schedule no ɔnyɛ no when the be American, sometimes I'm off say escafoye wicked, escafoye say no, ubisa. And women say no idea, but majority of them they will give you the chance. This nobleman, very wealthy man, or experience, what go up or bahas watch it. He was glad just in class. Oh, yeah, bruh. Me come for crack. So yeah, you see. What is what you guys will bet bibi? Nkora na eba na bisa won mu di na chubi tia chi. But what is obi akora misa? How many times he bisa sa niam? It me and fire dream say I will see bisa the right questions. You should start asking right questions. And you dream so they will answer you. Answer nipa uyi nipa ten bi mu na I strongly believe say I'm talking from experience. But sometimes idea na see especially community idea man sometimes you be kakra say be nipa ko kwa di nkomo kakra ne ade no bibi kura kusia o say hwe nipa ko na ko schedule na ma for start and sometimes ma for draw back kakra
yeah that is true
but still no so we wa kuma na bisa na bibi o hu bi o be kiro it need bisa the right questions important see bisa the right questions
right Uncle Wefi number 9 we got me doing research. In fact, out of this research, we lack financial exposure. We don't understand world building. We assume it's not possible legally. We can't really teach the African world creation until we decolonize the mind of the African. Decolonization of the mind of the African is trying to make him embrace his identity. And number one. Number two, trying to let him or her understand that you can do it. Wealth is not created for a particular race. Wealth is universal. No matter where you want, if you want to create wealth, you can create wealth. If we are saying, country be a for. And 99% of the time, no moon to no scan. So but there is a certain financial exposure that the African or Black community is lacking. Sometimes it could be just basic budgeting, or Uncle Bevi. It could just be basic budgeting, tracking expenses. I read an article that the average Black family or the average African family, or a Kruman is African American, they are not able to live up to 5%, 5% of maybe financial backing to the next generation.
Yeah.
They are not. So what happens is that the generation upon generation or generation after generation, they don't have anything to cushion them if they want to start a business, if they want to become entrepreneurs, if they want to build like empire, industries, companies. They cannot. They have to. And the other race, no, what the back end. No. I think now also starting to papa started from ground up. The child is starting from ground up. We are not learning. We are lacking a certain exposure. So the man was saying that it is about time Africans or African American communities or Blacks, if you want to use that word, come together in the community instead of coming together and say be parties and all those things, near competition, near talkers. Like I said, when was the time that we've come together as a community discussing the welfare of Nkra more community, discussing the welfare that in the third generation or the fifth generation, how are these kids going to survive in our absence? We don't understand wealth building. We need asset accumulation plan and asset building plan as African communities, African American communities, or Black communities. We need that, and we lack that exposure. So we say these things and they say I had a say nah, that is when first principles come in. See, okay, when we change the dynamics, when we change the process, what will happen? We always see that wealth is for a particular group of people. That is a lie. We assume that it's not possible legally. I say, it's not true. Warren Buffett's case is an example. At age 12, he was being consistent, being disciplined. The results are there to show. So these kind of teachings, I believe so, we need to challenge ourselves as African American and African communities that our gatherings shouldn't always be about parties. Our gatherings shouldn't always be about baby dedication. It's part of it. Yeah, it's okay. But when was the last time Africans or African American communities gathered and the discussion point was about how to teach the youngers how to build wealth? When was that? Ghanaian community. When was the last time I share you cook out in the air? Drinking a puppet and a when was the last time that we exposed young ones to these kind of things? When was the last time? It's because we don't understand wealth building. And in Tibon's and that systemic. Yes, it's generational curse, but it's generational ignorance. So lack of financial exposure can actually cause generational ignorance, which we usually call as generational curse. In Tibon's a particular family, it's because they are not exposed to a certain knowledge that will liberate them from their financial woes.
Yeah, because means that topic we say we could generational case and generational ignorance. No,
yeah.
I mean, add about Kumana, more research. As where we.
Oh yeah, yeah.
As you call the end, it's time to change the narratives. Let's start celebrating our next success and learn from it instead of doubling it. You see, when you look at it, United States in your example, there was a time people were coming from Ghana, coming here all the time. They come, we shall constantly not people. We should read see a for Ghana bana less, say Ghana for one more. But here's this generational. At this point, no, see Antimia BB Ama for so can we say when is the time cry Axnasika, your churches, your mosques, your whatever you want. It's about time you start talking about this. Say look, we share yen kakrana ibia ye buy ibia ni isua buy na ye what link na say they create revenue more because you send this kako. When are these people going to be that one has a revenue no create come Ghana team be create so be team twa?
Yes.
After a while, because in people will be mass at the first na nipa bani bi. Omo mo hana ye wo mo hano create doors more. And this is a time. This guy, Nishu, and he want to start with guy was standing for president this year. Kofi Koranting.
Yeah, Kofi Granting.
He was talking about this a lot. Say this generation, be a transition time. I was see Timmy say, yemfi hona sa cat na mfi because e bia me ma me papa na me ma any more link. E bia me nua no mo ho no mo hyɛ da ne mo ni link bia nti me ne papa ni ho a on form home bi.
Yes.
When was the time I better say class here discuss this anema? See, sa na issue, a big time issue e wo ho no. You see so nkofo mo ma tia say wo hakura ofria. So far as wo kala ni o mo kala ni bi ni de e wo se wo ko eti entreat o mu yi. Ni na e bibi bia wo se ehwe ne ka. It's about time as animal you can now see change that narratives no. Say, sinina no offer seeking or say, yet na address I say, wealth, for one race being kwa. It's never true. You different races are almost try some build the world, almost to me. Almost try some change your mind, no. Every poverty mind, I call a friend saying, the mind, wealthy mind, no. It change. And we all in a bit me. Yebetimi whereby say intwitwa yenua machi ne mum ye celebrate your success ye ne almost celebrate. That's when we also get some. We should be happy for yenua no mo dikan omo bi a eko na rather than nisi twomti ne start see a kire ne mbisa the right questions dan see yenua bi ehu so aye ya ne me so bi betimi obi aye argument say akọ we dey and sika no na o dey powder kakra fry no dey we fire you just won't hear see kra obeka se no uchira ho na ade na happen. Yɛngyae saa nneɛma na rather yɛnsua mfiri wɔn ho ɛmu bɛtumi aboa yɛn ama yɛakɔ yɛn anim. You see, we finish here with the history kakra last time na anyway. Hey, mami.
Sharp. Yeah.
Welcome.
Hey, that just for your night. Wow.
Oh, no. I know Pamford to crowd her. Why are they welcome? If for Ghana for for.
Yeah, and then 50 years so on the all right. Yeah. Fantastic. And that conversation, I think this is one of my last 2 points, has been my favorite points of all. And it's sad, I will be na kika ana to itrim. In history, and they say white supremacy, and then they started African or Black history. We look at 2 philosophers or 2 historians. The first one is a Dutch, and that's a Germany. Or say the George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel is a German name. I may be pronouncing it wrong. Or say Africa has no history and did not contribute to anything that mankind enjoyed. Would you see to anything that mankind enjoyed? That is a blatant lie. I'm telling you. That is a blatant lie. The other day we came here, we spoke about the Rhind mathematical papyrus. And we saw it has 84 mathematical problems. 84 mathematical problems. And we talk about problem 50. We talks about calculating the area of a circle and circular basis. It's ancient Kemet. This is around 1600s. Muhu. And that was the basis for so many calculations. The pi, when you make that calculation, when you compare it to the pi we have right now, the difference or the error margin is 0.6. It's not even up to 1. This person is saying that the African contributed to nothing that mankind enjoyed. It is ideal when you be on also the facts, the documents, and then the history to prove that Africans did so many great things. Bones will be also good at period or question the panzo or Casabia no the microphone to form. The same way an English or a British historian, a friend Arnold Toynbee, I may be pronouncing the name wrong again. I'll say when we classify mankind by color, the only one of the primary races which has not made a single creative contribution of value to any of our 21 civilization is the black race. That is a blatant lie. Historically, we know that even the Greek introduced a lot of philosophy and then Western education to the Europeans. Now, historically, we've also accepted that they came to Kemet, which is present day Egypt, to study. He spent about 20 to 22 years in Kemet, studying, learning, doing all those kind of things. And he acknowledges them. In fact, Abrofom, they acknowledge Africans. And saying 500 years ago, no matter writing history in a different way, so that it would create mental distortion in the mind of the black. So into automatically, even if you have like a doll, or a social experiment, they had a blonde doll and then like a chocolate or African doll. And Musa say, before say, which of the dolls do you think is beautiful? The NF come on, selected blonde, no. But they young color, no, they never chose it. So Sanya way, I only say I'll grow for full kind, but subconsciously it's causing so many problems. You see the black person, one day say I'll let us conduct a social experiment. Be restaurant Abia, like black folks serve over there, and as Africans serve over there. Now, coaching go bia, kwasiko ko ni bia ya wadam for faneka honam nko. The way of kasa kire ono ni different. The way of kasa kire ono ye the different. Even your penny from crowd will push you to a shit about type about who brunia. Like ordinary what to form is because the mind has been distorted, and that is why you need to go back 6,000, 10,000 years to read that history. Now, DBA can beka book bi ha, ye beka video bi ase kosha, eya ye nkoshe, because what you know, your children become your first point of contact. Enti unim no eno na womba ni besua na se na obekire. If you don't learn something new, that chain, it will be systemic, it will never break. But if we decide to learn something new, we will break that chain, and our children will also classify themselves as people whom their ancestors had always been great, and they continue to be great. It's history that has been rewritten in a different way to make them feel inferior and create that inferiority complex in them.
Thank you for the history. Sana omunya time eshishi niama destroy niama no now no muchantro bibri. So sana ye kasi ye facade in dia. Yeah, but what it is damage in the oma ye bibri. Ye wajuma ye nyina. Ntina nipa ba ko paint mi nyese adwuma no. Ye wajuma ye hey, Sister Abna, watch you. And then ye po afina wolande. Ye po afina lande. Etienne ye topic na why we think every rich person is doing fraud. Some amunim ye crew. Ye bomb pennyful ni bi India, obi no be kunto kwakra say or the powder. Say nyenye sika dru and we na ninu ye bi wuyes and if ni bi wuyo.
Yes, Ghana.
Ninu ye bi board dama or the powder kakra fry. And ye powder kakra so se saka wabi no so ye so a eden ye binya bibia kan fa ye de ye sika papa da wo wiase ye ba eso yin enim na say kra your friend saying Dangote you enkrofo nka de omo try no because we skent ya eti yenyi sa adwen ni na free ntem ye o see yi sa ne man na free etrim na ye dream positively sa ne man na o dream ma wonua wo so enkoso ma unya bibia be koso ma da ne ade ai yo ti na ha ne de besi said the time bia ye wo ha no Monday bia wo ha aye finances ho adwuma free bia next month ko ne be ma for so abel na ma for be kasabi be ma for be no ma kasabi yeah finances ho adwuma every Monday 7 to 9 p.m. yes ha no ma ye adwuma wo ha no and say niama dream bi say na wo see free trim the man niama timi kokoso ma ye na achedodo ye nya wo adwuma na wo see na so timi ye ni timi boy menka bibi kakra fa a paradigm shift a program be every Wednesday we talk about see a program say a JC the man people bring a different mind bi wo person hu se ne niam sitie enua de bia oka or the books by you read, you change your mind. And who said, Nyama na ye be on man and Nyama ye right. See, different information. Was yet to intimate paradigm shift a program be we talk to people when different information. Those are the things I will see you see. Those are the things I will see a TS. You was a few we need different information. What statistics will be? I will join the Patrick Bear YouTube channel. Wow, I'm a what sign man also what to me a move on. So if you need different information, that no to me, you know, to say you say and then you say you'll be a class 3 no school be. And so if any of my say yeah, Udia was who's had a walk with Gunia Brofluco side contract. Now when came out, you know, in your Josephine house in the Dinkobo, Ness or Tompano or Jumanity or Yibri, yes, we know different information to change your mind. And yeah, no so Kwasi Suaha, also boy Juma then Kwasi talk, Kwasi can come talk, right?
Yeah,
Or Thursdays bia or boy Juma pa or Kwasi can come talk and so honum. Can want some kakra.
Yeah, of above me that's near Quenyano. Yeah, Kwesi Kankam talks. Yeah, previously na me or my personal profile, which is Kwesi Kankam. But no, you don't have a lot of like control. Anything about me create page, you know. Kwesi Kankam talks. Into no, usually content, you know, more focus on YouTube, but I don't see a finance way in I honey the they so raw, like unfiltered L. And then also African history. Means anybody be African history, be the mamu in pieces. But Nyamiadum any more encouragement in Tino. We put a piece together and I'll try and do it in cheap for the most part. Near breaking it down because in your time in your history. So this man there, Michelle Mobo and a bonus so. So I'll be bringing African history straight 1 hour session. Na yeshia bibi kakra ba bibi for ya bakosem na and also etimi so it's strictly African history, finances and lifestyle. Yeah.
And at days and time.
Oh yeah. So usually Mishia Tuesday may start at 4 p.m. Eastern time, which will be 8 p.m. Greenwich Meridian time. Yeah. Thursdays so some bar and no say at the same time, but usually you find me on the Tuesdays 4 p.m. and then on Saturdays usually around 2 p.m. Mimi time, which would be about 6 p.m. Ghana time.
Yeah, Ghana time.
Yeah. So Tuesday 4 p.m. Eastern time, that is 8 p.m. Ghana time, and then Saturdays 2 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. Ghana time, and once in a while Thursday in Suya Yadibako Ebefem.
Awesome. And I also sometimes on my time I also Timichre Wadri, you know, because he boy Juma or boy Juma pa history need here. Now we maintain is akra, the mano, especially ye cabin chiro.
Yeah, no for books yes, you recommend on kind. Books.
So they say no excuse. You want to make books that call YouTube or Binyabi. If be no can kakra na woje. Because you know for the excuse we didn't mean we didn't mean say with the excuse YouTube channel would to be say with the excuse yeah channel don't see here chill be Kwame chill Mary Fifi friends say but don't open chill be Abna Josephine obia bodin the amodin uma munyina chamo share hanum now Wednesday so and so paradigm shift. Make sure you spend wisely, save intentionally, and be generous. See ya. Bye-bye.